Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I am joined by my co-hosts, Michael Hall and Michael Reed. The Burgundy Zone is part of the List of Frederick Podcast Network. You can find out more by going to www.listoffrederick.com, and we are joined again by the Godfather himself, Mr. Coach Greg Curl, infamous coach, but also the father of Kamren Curl. Thank you so much for coming back on here, brother, and joining us. How are you doing?
I'm good. Glad to be on here.
Yes, sir. And the first question I got to ask you, sir, I know you are a military man yourself, and the Washington Commanders, the new name and the new uniforms. How did you embrace the new name?
I mean, it is what it is. You just got to enjoy it. I mean, that's what they came up with. I like it. I mean, it's like every other name. We're going to get used to it. We started getting used to Washington football team. When they first said that, the majority was like, what? That ain't a name. And then we got used to it. So in time, we'll get used to it. I mean, there's some names out there, some teams that's normal right now. But, when it first came out, it was, what and why?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right about that, Mr. Curl. Were there any uniforms which uniform did you like the best?
I like that black one, man.
Judging by that hat, yeah.
Yeah, I like that black one, man. That's cold. But I like them all, man. And then I'm pretty sure they're gonna mix them up too. And then they supposed to have what is it, one or two more supposed to be?
One more, I think. Yeah, one more. I think
2024 something, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, no, I thought they was gonna have one this year. A fan, with the fans voted on. They supposed to have one more coming out this year.
I think that's a 2024 last I saw, but they might have moved it up or something.
Okay,
that was a while ago.
Yeah.
So as you know, Greg, I know we've had you on here a bunch. We love to talk about your son. We love your huge fans of your son on here. What is Cam doing this offseason to prepare for this season? And do you see anything different between him and past seasons past now that he's a bit more of a veteran in this league?
Yeah, he one because he switched.
Oh, his internet's slowing down a little bit.
Where he's workout because he got to be better. Is that me?
Yeah, you're good. You can repeat it again.
Okay,
repeat it again.
Oops, now you're good.
Okay. No, I was just saying, yeah, it's because he switched up his location to where he's working out. He's going to work out a different place because, he's trying to come out faster and stronger, and they do a little better, and they do things a little different. Nothing against the other place, but for something that fit him and what he's trying to do, he's changed locations, where he's working out and is working harder. I don't know if you guys saw his tweet earlier today talking about he missed the grind. And I'm going to tell you, I'm a witness to it. We was together all week, and, when he's on his phone looking at film and, YouTube videos and stuff like that, I that's when I know he missed it. He's ready to get back out there.
Love the dedication. And speaking of missing the grind, I would say that this defense, they didn't really get off to the start that everyone wanted them to last year. As the season went on, they kind of grinded it out and started playing better. Do you think that they're going to have a bounce back year next year?
Bounce back beer. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
One of those two.
One of those two.
Yeah.
You think they're going to have a bounce back year with Chase coming back off the injury, and obviously your son going into year 3 just keeps ascending, and maybe bring back a guy like Landon Collins as well?
Yeah. I think they will, man. It was just so much crazy stuff that happened this past season with injuries, sickness, and the COVID and stuff like that. It seemed like every time we get to gelling, somebody had to sit down and bring somebody else in. So, but yeah, everybody coming back healthy, I think that defense is going to be a lot better. And then the offense also, and they're going to get a chance to complement each other and show how good this team can be.
You being Coach Greg Curl first, not just Cam's dad, but you're a coach of football yourself, sir. So you know how to build up teams, right? Well, it seems every week, Coach, there seems to be a new quarterback attributed and linked to this football team. This week, it seems like the DraftKings Sportsbook has placed Washington as the #1 leader in being able to acquire Deshaun Watson. Do you think that's a good fit for Washington?
Yeah, yes, I do. As a quarterback and as an athlete, yes, I think it's a great fit for Washington. It's adding not just a quarterback, but it's adding another weapon, as being mobile and being able to run. The drama, Washington does not need any more drama. So whatever it is with his cases and everything, if he's innocent, I hope it's done quickly and over with. If he's guilty, same. I hope it's done, and he get what he deserves if he's guilty, and it's done and over with. But I hope it's all this is answer can come up before we pull the trigger, and don't get stuck again.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. In a quarterback purgatory is what we like to
call. Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. It's such a shame with somebody like Deshaun Watson because he's so talented and what he can do for a franchise. He's still young and he could be that guy. So hopefully he does get it all cleared up. So obviously, I mean, being as close as you are to Cam, obviously you're his father and you guys are best friends. In the NFL Combine coming up, you had a chance to be with Cam as he was going through the NFL Combine. What is that like on a player? Do you see? But I know Cam's a different breed, so he probably wouldn't have stress. But do you see like the combine and pro days? Do you really see that affect a player, and like they're more worried about working out on their body as opposed to playing football, or how do you kind of see that?
I do, and I use Cam as an example. I don't know if you remember his 40 time, but it doesn't look anything like his game, like what he does.
Completely different.
And it can be because you're thinking about everything that's getting ready to happen. Because you're not just running the 40 and bench presses, doing all that stuff. You got to go talk to these teams, all 32 teams, and some of them you might have to talk to them twice. So, if they call you back, you think about, oh my God, what did I say? Was it, it was good? Or, you walking there. It's so much. And these days are long, long days too. So, we are human, at the end of a long day, boy, it's easy to say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, or whatever, because you're thinking about so many other things at the same time. So, They
pick these kids apart too. Anything that they say, you're right. You got to be so careful. They can take anything, twist it. They can take it the wrong way.
And jumping back to the quarterbacks, like Kyle was saying, I mean, especially coming up this week at the Combine when all the agents are there, all the front office people, there's going to be a lot of rumors linked to Washington. Do you have a preference for like a quarterback? Like, would you want to go the rookie route? And if you want to go the rookie route, which rookie would you prefer? And if you want to go the veteran route, who do you think they're going to go after as far as a veteran?
My opinion is if all possible, do both. And the only reason I say that, because out of the rookies that's coming in this class, there's some talented quarterbacks, but I don't see no day one starters yet. Just me. I don't, that's going to can come in and have an immediate impact and improvement on the team.
I agree with you.
So either of those top three guys, I would say if they could come in under a 2 or 3 year solid veteran and learn and gain, I think for the long run, that's the best for Washington.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. That's probably the best bet for everyone involved. That way it's an easy transition for them. But, Coach, I probably already know the answer to this question, but who is your favorite player coming out of this draft? It doesn't have to be a quarterback. Is there one guy in particular that you love?
Man, Treylon Burks out of Arkansas.
Didn't even need to be said.
That's my dude, man. It's so crazy. When he first got to Arkansas, and I saw them in the spring game, and I saw him working out and everything, it was so crazy because they put so much hype on these other guys, and I kept telling people, "Do y'all see this kid?
Right? How can you miss him?"
I was like, "This is gonna be the man." I said,
Right.
"That's the man," And they was like, "No, this kid over here is gonna do this." I was like, "Dude, y'all are not seeing the size of this kid and how big his hands and he's catching and how he can move and it can't now it shows. But when he first got there, I mean, it was the same. It was the same guy, man.
Right.
You telling Nebraska to select him at number 11?
Heck yeah. If it was my choice to pick him, yeah, because it's still gonna be a decent quarterback. Out of the top three, it'll still be left probably the next time we get
The second round.
pick.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah. But I mean, if he lasts that long, man, anybody that don't get him, it's gonna be the same situation with Kamren.
Right.
You're gonna be like, how did we miss? Why did we miss that? And I'm just being a little braggadocious there.
You could do that,
But,
Coach.
I mean, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you deserve that. I mean, hey, I think the NFL feels that way. And you're right. Treylon Burks, how can some of these guys miss him? I mean, the guy's 6'3",
Man.
what is he, 230 as a wide receiver,
Yes.
and he's out of this world fast and strong.
Yes.
Like that guy, he looks like a linebacker out there. It's insane. So now, being a coach yourself, what is something that you've noticed about Ron Rivera that you think has really been beneficial to this team?
That's been real beneficial.
Right. It doesn't just have to be on the field too. Just overall.
The way the players respond and rally around him, and a lot of them like really, really, really like Coach Rivera. That right there, because you can elevate a talent if a player really, really believes in that coach. His talent will elevate because his desire not to let down and his desire to try to do right because he want to please that coach. It elevates the team. And, a lot of people don't know that, but if they believe in you, I mean, they're like the old saying, they'll run through a brick wall for you.
Right.
If they believe in you and they know you got they back and stuff. And that's what I see with Washington. So that's why I see this team get better. It's going to get better, man.
Right. That's why it seems, I'm sorry, Hall, before you go, it seems like we always say that Rivera's role on this team, it's almost like more than coaching. Like he's so important. These guys look up to him, it seems like so much, and respect him. Yeah.
And the fact that he's been there, I think that's what helps a lot of these guys relate to, because he played. I've been there. Right. I understand what's going on and stuff like that. But whatever it is working because they rally around and they play hard for Coach Rivera.
Yeah.
Your mic is off.
Your son.
Keep going. You're good now.
Mm-hmm.
Your son came in, obviously, his rookie year, established himself, and everyone was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, all right, he's going to be something. He's going to make something of his NFL career. And then year two, he, just elevates his game even more. Who do you think going into this upcoming season is going to kind of be that breakout star, kind of like your son was this second past season?
Can I say who I want it to be?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Jamie and Davis.
Yeah.
You're rooting for Jamie?
That's who I wanted to be a breakout star. And I'm going to tell you, from my opinion on what I see, and I know a lot of people trash him, and somebody said it's a wasted pick. The speed, the agility, the athleticism is there. To me, it looks like he's overthinking and trying too hard to make a play that he messes himself up.
Yep.
So I'm thinking another year, he relax, gets a little bit more comfortable, and play instead of think. I think he'll have a way better year.
Yeah.
Now, Coach Curl, to wrap this up, my last question for you. You have to choose one of these. You either trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. We don't know what assets it would be, maybe a third, second rounder. Or you sign Carson Wentz, because obviously you might be getting let go from the Indianapolis Colts. You sign Mitchell Trubisky, or you sign Marcus Mariota. Of those four, which one are you selecting?
This is one of those, pick your favorite vegetable. And you're like, what?
I can't wait for something to just jump out and go, yeah, that guy. But, man, is Marcus the youngest of the group?
I believe. Actually, no. I think it would be Wentz. Or no,
Wentz.
Mitchell. It would be Mitchell Trubisky. It'd be Mitchell.
Trubisky.
Oh yeah, Trubisky. Yeah, Trubisky. Yeah, my bad. Oh my God.
It's a hard one.
I mean, I would go with Trubisky just because he's younger and maybe we could teach him a little bit more. Man, I used to really, really like Mariota though, but man, I don't, I don't know, And see, I'd be mad if Carson Wentz come out, and get on the team and end up it being his best NFL year of his career. But yeah, I would go with Trubisky.
Yeah, unfortunately, Coach, I have to agree with you in that, Brett. Your reaction is exactly what I looked like when I was writing out that question. Do I want to ask this? Coach, I can't thank you enough for coming on here, taking some time out and joining us. I'm glad we were able to do it. I know we had some prior situations that happened, but I'm glad you were able to make it here, sir. I can't thank you enough for doing so. And just in case anybody watching doesn't follow you already on Twitter that wants to follow your awesome takes, if you want to plug your social media handle.
Yeah, Coach Greg C at Twitter. And hey, I tell you what, send me a schedule. You can put me on here regularly if you want to.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm retired.
There we go. Yeah.
Well, I'll link up with you tomorrow, Mr. Curl. I got you.
All right, guys.
All right,
y'all
guys.
take it easy.
All right, Greg.
Thank you,
All right.
sir.
Thank you.
Man, dude, I love talking to Mr. Curl.
I know. He's the best. I love it because he's straight up he's a player's father, but he's upfront. He's real about stuff. Like he's not just going to hold something back because got to watch what he says at some place for the team. He's just like, yeah, no. A lot of people say Jamin's been a bust.
Yeah, dude, he's absolutely right. 'Cause he's on Twitter. He sees all the nonsense. One of my favorite tweets he ever came out with was about like if what I say offends you, then he said something else. But it was hysterical. But before we get into the fan questions and into our second guest here, it's going to be lining up here shortly. A new report came out from Michael Phillips of the Richmond Times-Dispatch, a former guest of ours. It's been on here many, many times. And it saying that the new stadium for the Washington Commanders, Jason Wright spoke to it wasn't like a committee, but it was like a group. It was a setting. Basically, he was on stage talking to all of them and saying how they want to be able to hold 10 to more events a year. They don't want this just to be a strictly winter thing, and they want to be able to have a Super Bowl, other stuff here in D.C. What do you guys think about the whole having a roof and it being climate-controlled, artificial turf, and all that? What do you think, Hall?
I feel like with all the new stadiums that are being built, I mean, obviously it's not like a lot, but you look at SoFi and Jerry World, places like that, they all got well, and I don't think so. Does SoFi have a roof?
No, it's partially you can look in, and the sides open up, so it gives it air inside of the stadium, gives it open air, but the top doesn't. But Jerry World does. That is a retractable roof, partially.
Yeah, retractable roof. So you're like, and obviously with this being the DMV, where you get 4 seasons within like a whole week's worth of weather, it would make sense for them to put a roof in there. I was listening to Grant and Danny. They actually made a pretty good point that I didn't really think about. Like, it's not really that like big of a thing nowadays because it's like a newer NFL. But if you think about if they like this team makes the playoffs, obviously they're playing in January. It's going to be cold here. You don't really get that advantage of maybe like a Tampa Bay or maybe like a
San Francisco.
San Francisco, a team that's not used to that cold weather coming here and playing, or maybe like the icy weather, stuff like that. So that's kind of goes out the window. But at the same time, from a business standpoint, obviously, if you're going to build a multi-billion-dollar stadium, it would make sense to get the most use out of it. So putting a roof on it would be probably the most ideal thing. I wish it was retractable, but I don't think it will be.
Yeah, Michael Phillips brought up a lot of great points about like how a lot of the northeastern stadiums aren't actually domes. You know, they aren't climate controlled. Look at New York, look at Buffalo, New England, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. All those other stadiums but they don't host Super Bowls, obviously, because of the weather. And go big or go home, essentially. And I can understand why Jason Wright is kind of looking at it with that mindset. But look, if we can make a euphoria, right? You can make something of this stadium to where it's like, oh, we have to go see it. That's how awesome it is. I don't care what the heck it is. I don't care if it's a dome. I don't care if it's open field. I really do not care. I just want it to be something that is remembered that is historical. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that Jason Wright is going around that path and saying, look, we want it to be climate controlled so we can get the most out of it. The last thing you want to do is divulge a whole bunch of assets into a stadium and only be able to use it 3 months out of the year. I can understand why they want to use it for all 12. Completely understand that. What do you think, Reed?
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree. I mean, you got to get the most bang for your buck. If you look at these new stadiums, I mean, the only reason SoFi isn't domed completely, it's because it's LA, and LA's weather is just completely different than around here. So like you said, if you want to host a Super Bowl, it's kind of what you got to do in this area, because we're not New York. I mean, New York, I see getting away with it, but yeah, we really wouldn't have a choice. And you're right, all this weather's so bipolar that like and you want to have concerts year round, you want to have stuff. So yeah, I get it. And it'll be interesting to see. It'll be different. It'll definitely take a little getting used to, but it'll be fun. Unless of course it's, Southern Virginia.
Yes, and we kind of talked about it briefly with Coach Curl, but the Combine is this week. On Thursday, the rookies is the first time that we're going to be able to see these guys working out under closed doors. Did you hear Matt Corral is not going to be throwing? Everyone knows about Matt Corral not being at the Senior Bowl, obviously, because he wasn't a senior, right? Or is he?
No, he wasn't. He was a junior. Yeah, he was a junior.
Junior.
Because I know he got injured. So he got injured and messed up his ankle, and that's why essentially he's still rehabbing from that ankle injury, which is why he's not throwing at the Combine. Which, each to their own, whatever. What do you think about that, Reed? Do you think that's a negative towards Corral?
Was that to me?
Yeah. Do you think it's a negative towards Corral that he's not throwing at the Combine since we weren't able to see him at the Senior Bowl like the other quarterbacks?
No, I think to a lot of fans it can be, because he's always, like I said, he's always the guy that gets forgotten about when you're talking about first round quarterbacks. But I think he'll be all right at the pro day. I think him just even playing in that bowl game, I think really kind of showed what kind of a player he is, with the grit and the wanting to be there for his team. And unfortunately that happens. You get hurt. But so him doing that electing not to throw at the Combine, I think for fans, once again, it'll make them kind of forget about him, put these Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett's about him. But the NFL GMs, if they like him, they're going to see him at his pro day. So it might take a little bit, but I don't think it'll necessarily affect them too much.
No, me either. A lot of these quarterbacks usually turn down the opportunity to throw at the Combine. Generally, what they wait till the pro day. They could control things more. Remember, it was yesterday. I still remember the Trey Lance pro day, and everyone just slobbering all over the one throw he threw in a T-shirt. Yeah. Nobody on defense just throws a deep ball, and like, oh my goodness, only Pat Mahomes could throw a ball like that. Like
the Zach Wilson one was funny too.
Yeah,
saw that on highlights, and you were just like, okay.
Right. You're just like, great, man. That's really cool. I hope he could do it in a game, and obviously that didn't turn out. And that's why I think it's always so funny. But I don't think it's that big of a deal for Matt Corral personally. I just think about it from the optics standpoint, how the other teams were able to see these other guys perform and throw in this game action. And they still weren't able to see Matt Corral there, and he's not thrown at the Combine. I think it is a slight negative to the point where it's still up in the air and unknown with Matt Corral with that arm, because they're not able to see it in real time in their eyes like they were with the other quarterbacks in the Senior Bowl. I do think there's a slight negative, but I don't think it's enough to like warrant somebody saying no to Matt Corral simply because he wasn't throwing there. I think it's typical for quarterbacks.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I don't think it's if it's a negative, it's like the smallest negative there is, like itty bitty, just for the simple fact, like you said, it doesn't really, like, if you're not going to throw it there, not going to throw at the Combine, it is what it is. A lot of these quarterbacks, honestly, they're working with receivers they've never thrown to before.
Yeah,
guys are running routes. They don't really know like how fast they run their routes or how they come out of their break. So it actually kind of makes them look a little bit worse, like accuracy wise and stuff like that. Throwing to guys you don't really like have any cohesiveness with. And at the end of the day, it really comes down to if you when you're talking to these GMs and the front office guys, and they get you in front of the whiteboard and they're kind of picking your mind and going through the interview process, that's really what's more important at the Combine, as opposed to a guy's 40 time, or if he's throwing to X receiver, or if he can make that job or that go ball, like, you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, like you said, for fans, it is. For people that do 85 mock drafts before the Combine, or
like
before
me?
the draft, yeah, it's like, it's good for them because it's just like, oh, he's gonna slide, he's not throwing, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not really that big.
Yeah, and speaking of sliding, did you hear about Kyler Murray's agent coming out with that sheet of paper today? That statement. stating some facts.
I had to squint to read it. I was like,
Dude,
he used the same font that's Kyler Murray's height. He was like, well.
So if you guys don't know, Kyler Murray's agent came out with a statement today basically saying, and like there was like two bullet points put up there. I forget what the first one was. The second one was so ridiculous. Kyler Murray is determined to win a Super Bowl. Awesome. So is everyone else in the league, dude. Thank you for telling me that. I'm glad that he's invested into his job, you know? Like,
right.
Who cares, man? And what he's asking for like 50 mil or something like that, Hall?
Yeah, that's the rumor that he's asking for 50 million. Obviously, if you told him that, or he's going to come out and say, I'm not asking for 50 million, but I think he's definitely trying to get slotted as like one of the highest paid or higher paid guys. And my rebuttal to that would be Aaron Rodgers wants 50. Well, he's saying he doesn't want 50 million, but Aaron Rodgers is probably going to get close to 50 million.
Mm-hmm.
You're not Aaron Rodgers. Pat Mahomes is making like 45 million. You're not Pat Mahomes. And Dak's making what, like 40? I could almost go and say you're not even really Dak at this point. So,
right, not yet.
I mean, he should get paid for sure because he's definitely a franchise guy for them. But 50 million is crazy.
Yeah, I saw somebody put out on Twitter today that Kyler Murray is the first player in NFL history to throw for 70 touchdowns and run for 20 touchdowns. Like, dude, that's great, but what did it get you?
Right.
Not much.
Yeah.
And I love to point back to this fact of Tom Brady earning $25 million this year in his contract, which was below like Derek Carr and other guys. And they won a Super Bowl 2 years ago. And obviously he's won 6 in his career. And that guy was getting paid less than anybody. I know how much Giselle was making. And when the wife is a breadwinner, it's easy for him to take that money off. I get it. But just giving the flexibility of the cap space to the team is so important for building a winner. And Tom Brady was the epicenter of that. He in the microcosm, he showed it to you when he went to Tampa. If he wasn't getting paid $25 million per year, they would not have been able to bring back Levante David. They would not have be able to bring back Gronk or Antonio Brown or any of those other guys. The fact that Kyler Murray is already complaining about how much he's getting paid just goes to show you that he shouldn't.
Right. Yeah.
Speaking
it's almost
of Derek Carr, real quick before you go.
Oh no.
You see our boy, our guy, Professor Paulson says that Derek Carr is the best fit for this team and Scott Turner.
Yeah, it's because
he's just trolling me at this point.
No, it's because we're best friends. I talked to him about it. I sold him on it. But yeah, Kyler Murray, it's almost like he has like a little bit of a Napoleon syndrome going on, you know? It's like, what do you got going on? Like such a short fuse. He's just like, it was so low of him to do that. Like his ego needs to shrink a little bit. It's got to be a little bit smaller. Yeah, I don't know. He looks like a life-size version of somebody from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Like he's just like running around, scrambling around back there, and it's cute, but like get it together.
Dude,
you know?
Probably one of the funniest the reactions I saw from Kyler Murray game was that them saying that Kyler Murray looks like he runs like a bad kid running away from a spanking.
He does, dude. He runs when James runs away with a full diaper and his little legs are waddling around. That's exactly what Kyler Murray looks like when he runs.
Dude, it's so funny, man.
Yeah, he has midget features on like a normal size body, but we say that, but he's really like 5'10" or something. Like
yeah, he's like our
size. He's not even small. Yeah, it's just,
like we're just making.
Yeah, I was just making fun of him for being short and like he's like a few inches smaller than me.
In reality, Kyler Murray's like really like 5'7", and we just don't know it, and you just run around
Could
like
be.
Muggsy Bow.
Looks like it. Yeah.
Hey, and now we are joined by our second guest, the man himself, the YouTube sensation, Mr. Street Scores Rico. How are you doing tonight, brother?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Doing fantastic,
Good.
Rico. And I thought, what better way to finish this episode than getting Rico on here to answer fan questions? And so the first one is going to come from our guy, major contributor to this show, a good friend of ours, Mr. Tony Shivers. And his question to you, Rico, what are you most looking forward to with the Combine?
So far, a few quarterbacks have backed out. I'm really interested in seeing what Kenny Pickett's does as far as like the 40 time, because I feel like he's underrated as far as mobility. So I'm really interested in actually seeing what he runs at the 40 and also seeing whatever throws they ask him to do and stuff like that. So definitely more focused on the quarterbacks, but I'm also interested in seeing, what potential other areas we could probably find in the draft, especially at the Combine, because like we need a middle linebacker. So Hopefully Darian Beavers of Cincinnati, hopefully he tests really well. I'm excited about him.
Is that how you say his name? I've been saying Bevers.
I have no idea.
Okay. All right. So
It's
we're
spelled
both.
You're
Beavers,
probably right.
So
Yeah, we're both guessing, but I get it. I'm with you. What about you, Reed? What are you most looking forward to in the combine? I was surprised, Rico, that you didn't bring up Kenny Pickett's hand size when you said Pickett. I thought that was what was coming.
Pickett's too smart for that. Yeah, Pickett's like, I'm not letting them see me with these Whopper Junior hands walking around. He did the same thing at Senior Bowl. But also, first of all, I'm excited to see Treylon Burks and just what he can do. Personally, I think it'll be very interesting to see. I mean, we talked about him earlier, but what somebody that size with that athleticism can do, just like it was with DK Metcalf or something like, But really, I'm excited. The same thing as every year, man. I'm just excited to see who out there who's like a late to mid round pick who just completely blows it up and just has out of this world numbers, and all of a sudden they just completely raise their stock just like that, just from running a fast 40-yard sprint. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting. There's always a few people that just completely blow the combine out of the water. And I just love seeing that athleticism. Because other than that, if we're honest, I mean, it really doesn't mean that much.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the combine to see who runs a 4.2, to see who the Raiders are going to pick in the first round.
Or what wide receiver they're going to overdraft.
Right. And no, but in all serious, Big Tony, honestly, the most thing I look forward to for the combine, this is going to sound really nerdy and really stupid, but it's a little mashup of Rich Eisen whenever he does the 40-yard dash, and they put every combine guy, the slowest ones, against him to see how fast he's running. I think that is absolutely hilarious. I'm a big fan of Rich Eisen. What about you, Hall?
Yeah, I'm just excited to see pretty much like what quarterbacks are going to throw, even though I just said throwing doesn't really matter. But I just want to see what quarterbacks are going to throw.
If any.
See what wide receivers are going to run like the 4.3, 4.4s, and how they do in like the those little cone drills and stuff like that. And mostly just looking forward to see who Washington is going to bring in for the interview process and get their little 15, 20-minute interview, whatever it is. So just to get a little head start. I know. I got mush mouth right there. Just to get a little head start to maybe see like what they're thinking as far as like prospects wise.
Right. I will say I'm super disappointed that Jameson Williams ended up getting hurt like that. I was really excited to see what he would run in 40.
Dude, seriously, because imagine that 11th overall pick if Jameson Williams is still available and healthy. That would make things really testy there, because that wide receiver rankings really did get mushed up with Jameson Williams being injured along with John Mechie. But the next question that we have, Street Scores, I'm going to go to you with this one, is from our guy, Jeff Miles. And he says, rumors are that Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel are in Jamaica with Deshaun Watson. Is that fake news, big news, or does it not matter?
Never heard that until this moment, but I don't think it really matters. It's not like Ron Rivera's like, oh, y'all like getting passes thrown to y'all by this guy, and that's just gonna make everything magically work out. Case goes away, and we have to remember when it comes to trades, the Texans have to accept their trade. It's not like we just offer a trade, put in a Madden cheat code, and it immediately gets accepted. So even if we do offer several first and a couple of players, what if the Texans just say no?
Yeah, seriously, that's a great point. I think it'd be cool if they're down there in Jamaica with Deshaun Watson. I just hope that there's not a masseuse on the island, because I just don't want Terry or Curtis getting wrapped up into those shenanigans, But honestly, Jeff, it's probably fake news, and it doesn't matter. Probably not all that much, but I'm glad to see that Terry is able to enjoy himself with his boys down there in Jamaica. I got my coworkers from Jamaica, and he talks about all the time the house that they have there, and it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful down there. So hopefully they're having a good time. But would you want anyone more advocating for a quarterback to come here than Terry McLaurin? I mean, there is nobody else. What do you think about that, Hall?
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter over the weekend, and I saw like I don't even know if it's a person. I guess it's a person. Tweeting.
It's probably a bot.
But yeah, judging from like where the tweet came from, it's probably false. But I mean, Curtis Samuel and Terry could be down there because like they're boys going back to like their college days. So I could definitely see them two hanging out in Jamaica. But also, it wouldn't surprise me if like, because all these NFL players, NBA players, they all like vacation. They all hang out in the same places. So I mean, they could all be there at the same exact time and just like ran into each other. But I don't think Terry hit up Deshaun Watson like, yo, let's go to Jamaica, bro. Like,
right.
I will say it is cool to an extent if this is happening, because if Terry and them are saying, look, just say no to any trade except for us. And if that's the case, that could make things a lot easier because Washington could give up a certain trade proposal that's not up to par with the other teams because of what assets they have. And he could say, look, I don't want to go to those guys. I'll take that offer. And Houston will say, okay, let's pull the trigger. Let's take it, because it's not like they're going to use them, right?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, hey, it could just mean that Terry and Curtis are two of the accusers, and they're using that $20K from Watson to go on down to vacation. No, I'm just kidding. That's fake. Don't put that out there. I mean, I would rather go to Jamaica with Terry and Curtis. That like they could have went on a boat with Fred Smoot or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's good. I think it'll be all right. It could only help. The only thing that, like you said, the only thing it can really do is make Deshaun Watson be like, you know what? Actually, I won't block a trade from going there. Maybe I do want to play with these guys, but it doesn't mean anything will happen.
Yeah, I hope they're out partying, not partying, but like fishing and stuff,
Yeah,
and having
maybe not with him. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe not with him.
Yeah.
You're probably right about that. No, and Street Scores, I know about my sound. It's only on your end. It's not on mine, so don't worry about that. If my question doesn't come out well, just tell me to repeat it, and I will. But we have a question this time from the Colonel himself. He texted this in. Glad to hear from you, Colonel. When we swing and miss on the premier quarterbacks, which of the second-tier quarterbacks, Trubisky, Wentz, Mariota, etc., who do you see as our plan B, Street?
Optimistic.
Yeah. For me, a nice fallback plan would be Jameis Winston. I feel like, first of all, we're trying to transition our offense to actually be able to throw deep down the field. We drafted De'Ami Brown, and you would prefer if he had a little Adam Humphries in him where he could separate underneath and move the chains. But as of right now, the only thing he even moderately looked good at doing was getting open deep down the field. We didn't have a quarterback to throw that to him. And I'm pretty sure whatever quarterback we may end up taking in this draft, whether it be first or later rounds, they're probably going to prioritize having at least an arm better than Taylor Heineke. And I feel like Jameis Winston would be a great transition where you can win now. He limited his turnovers. He actually made the Saints, competitive until he got hurt. And then Scott Turner could try things with Jameis, like, all right, now we're going to insert these plays where we throw deep down the field. We're going to have some maybe quarterback design runs, some play action bootlegs, and then whatever quarterback that we draft, when they're ready, they'll like have a trade offense gift wrap for them. Like, here we let Jameis Winston crash test dummy the offense, and now it's ready for you to go run it.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Reed?
I'm literally 100%. That's exactly pretty much almost per word exactly what I was going to say. Like, it can only benefit too if you look at it. Like Jameis, he first of all, he had a 14-3 touchdown interception ratio last year. It finally seemed like he clicked. Like you said, he's known for throwing downfield. He's made the Pro Bowl in the past. He's had success. And just being here with somebody like Terry, somebody like Curtis, who, if he's healthy, is very explosive. Same with De'Ami. He could get the ball downfield. Would have a good pass catching back and tight end, and it would really just only benefit him. I mean, he comes here, he balls out. All of a sudden, like you said, he can go out and get a big contract somewhere. And if we draft somebody, then he sits for a year, he learns behind him, and okay, cool, we're good to go. Or maybe we're just like, all right, hey, well, we're re-signing you after this to a decent deal because you clearly got it going and turned it around. So I'm all on the Jameis Winston train, especially as long we'll even be like, Jameis, if you come here, we are going to overstock all of our grocery stores with crab legs. Like, I don't care. Come here.
Yeah, Jameis can come here all he wants as long as he's not slobbering on his fingers like he did.
He will, because that's our logo.
Yeah,
that's literally our logo.
I know, it's literally our logo, but I just hope that doesn't come back to life.
We're gonna catch him in the locker room gnawing on helmets and shit.
And I always hear the DMV has the best seafood like in America, so I mean he would love it.
Right? Yeah.
Even better in Louisiana, I'm not sure about that, man. I mean, I'm sure those guys down south would have something to say about it. But I agree that probably Jameis is our plan B. He's a big, strong kid. He's somewhat mobile. He's got a strong arm. It's not like he works hard. He's always the first guy in. He's just a little bit of a goofball. And obviously that was evident by him licking his fingers with the W and trying to hype up
his
team.
Workout videos too always make me laugh. Like, there's something about his body shape or something that just makes me. He's just like goofy.
It's
like
it's his expressions too.
It's his face. Yeah. It's his face.
It's his face.
Yeah, it's his face.
Yeah, that
every time because
100%,
he's taking it so seriously and it looks hilarious.
Right. Yeah.
But honestly, a Wentz, I don't want to get anywhere near. If a team gives
He's
up,
a nice guy apparently,
gives up 2 first-rounders for a quarterback and leaves that opportunity after the first year, like they literally gave away their first rounder this year for nothing with Carson Wentz leaving. I don't want Wentz at freaking all. I don't care if it's only for money. I don't care if he did really well at his rookie season and everything. I do not care about that. That guy should be left in the rearview mirror. as far as I'm concerned. The second tier there is Mitchell Trubisky. I am warming up to the idea of Mitchell just because of how cheap it would be, and maybe you do somehow win that signing by him overplaying his position. You know, Harry Eli, it's hard to get hyped over it, but the possibility, like, I could only imagine that everyone were pissed off that we signed Mitchell Trubisky, and then Mitchell Trubisky comes in here and looks like Phillip Rivers or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's such a Washington thing to do. And what about you, Hall?
I'm pretty much on the same page as all of you guys. Winston would be like my 1A, and then Trubisky would be like the 1B. Just like pretty much for all the reasons y'all said. James, like, they got a big arm. Only thing that scares me a little bit is, yes, he was 14 to 3 touchdowns in like 7 games or whatever it was. He also threw 5 touchdowns in the first game, which means he only threw 6 touchdowns or 9 touchdowns in 6 games.
Yeah, it's still 9 to 3.
Yeah,
but yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
Right back to the kind of that game manager kind of role that we've had for the last X amount of years. But at the same time, you could also say he didn't have any weapons because Michael Thomas was out.
And he's thrown 30 picks in the past.
Yeah, so you know, it's kind of like give him a pass. But like you said, the whole Trubisky thing, at first I was like, just kind of like you feel about Wentz. I feel the same way about Wentz too, but I was kind of feeling like that about Trubisky. Like, no. Then I really kind of like thought about it and like really like kind of processed it and was like, well, he is mobile and like he does have a bigger arm than Taylor Heineke. He's not like as bad as everyone makes him out to seem. He's just not as good as
he's a goofball.
Try to make him out.
He was a living meme in Chicago for a while. There was that Pro Bowl season, then after that, it was all downhill.
But you've already seen that if you put a good defense around him and decent weapons, he can do some okay things, and maybe he can turn into that next Ryan Tannehill where everyone just blames Matt Nagy for being incompetent. So
the Nickelodeon valuable player, baby.
Like we said, it's not like Chicago's had any success with quarterbacks. Like since Justin Fields made some great plays on his own, but like he didn't look too good either after that, you know. So
it seems to me that Chicago is just bad at selecting quarterbacks, a lot like people on Twitter.
It's almost,
but let's keep
almost like that's like what they're known for in their franchise.
Yeah, it's weird,
crazy.
Now the next question is from the Colonel. I'm gonna stick with you, Hall. What are the chances that Ron Rivera has no intention of going after any in this weak class of quarterbacks? That it's a bluff to the NFL to shore up some of our other needs while we wait for a better quarterback availability?
I don't think it's a bluff, just for the simple fact of, I mean, I've been the main person to be like, I don't think he wants to even like put any time into a rookie. I think that he wants to go veteran, and kind of just build from there. But if you're looking at it from the contract side of things, he has 3 more years left on his contract. If you draft a rookie, that pretty much, unless something colossally bad happens, that pretty much guarantees you're going to play out the last 3 years of your contract, which is honestly that's good for us as far as consistency goes and as far as coaching and all that. And yeah, I just don't think it's a bluff, because if you go out and kind of swing on the big 3 like Aaron Rodgers, Wilson, Watson, you miss on those guys. You can't get a decent vet, and you end up with a guy like a Jimmy G or a Carson Wentz or something like that. Those guys are injury prone, and who's behind them? Taylor Heineke. And we all seen the Taylor Heineke book. We don't want to read it again. So at the end of the day, well, except for Kyle, he wants to read it again. But at the end of the day, I just don't think that he can survive going out there trotting out another like C to D average type quarterback again this year and make it through the whole rest of his contract.
I got you. What about you, Street Scores? What are the chances that Ron Rivera has no intention of going after any of these class of quarterbacks in this year's draft?
I think it's fairly slim, because I feel like even if you get like a Jameis Winston, Carson Wentz, whoever, I feel like it would still be smart to at least get somebody even maybe later in the draft to develop as like a raw guy. Now, I mean, if we're talking about first round specifically, I agree with Mike that, I mean, if we swing and miss, I think that first round rookie will buy you some time. I don't necessarily feel like he's on like, you know, the edge of his leash on the hot seat or anything, but that like guarantees we've already seen here specifically switching offensive coordinators, switching quarterbacks, switching head coaches, and all 3 just are never on the same page consistently. So they may want to, you know, give it at least 2-3 years with a rookie, no matter how raw he is.
I agree, but I will say this. If Rivera was going to draft a rookie quarterback in order to save his job, The time that fits that scenario is next season. His 4th year, going into it, if they don't do well in the 4th year and the iron's starting to get really hot, he has that to sit back on in that 5th year to say, look, we have this second-year quarterback. I got to stay here to make sure he finishes it out. You know what I mean? So I think next year would probably be the best bet for that. But what are the chances that Ron Rivera has no intention? I think it's probably around 30%. I don't think it's very high, but just in case, just because of where they are in that first round, this way this team is built, they have a bunch of cap space, they have a emptiness at quarterback. One way or another, they're going to have to be able to supply with weapons and middle linebacker. And if you go down that path of the veteran quarterback, then guess what? That means there's going to be money being dripped out and draft assets. And so that's why I think it'd be very, very minuscule if anything is happening. I could see them going Mitch Trubisky and then keeping Taylor as the second quarterback and then using their entire draft to build around the team is how I kind of view it. What about you, Reed?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It almost would be smarter too, because if you look at next year's quarterback class, it's supposed to actually be really good. I mean, you look at C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young for rookies if you wanted to draft a guy. But I don't think that the chances. I do think that Rivera wants to get a quarterback. And I think his first choice is a veteran. But I do think that if he strikes out on one of the veterans or has to sign one of those low-level guys, I do think that he's going to take a quarterback fairly early. It might not be first round, maybe on day 2, though, maybe second, third round, just to sit and kind of gauge it. And at least he can say, hey, we have a young guy. And then the following season, he could, if we aren't doing too well again, he can be like, well, I'm drafting somebody. I'm doing this. But it's not like Rivera hasn't tried to get quarterbacks or like they haven't been scouting them. I mean, reports were they loved Joe Burrow. Apparently they like Justin Herbert over Tua in that draft. And then last year they tried to get Matthew Stafford. It just didn't work out. So, I mean, they've been doing a good job scouting quarterbacks. So if whoever they want, whoever they like, I'll trust that they like them and that this is the guy. So we'll see. It'll be interesting, but.
Yep, and we'll stay with you, Reed.
Okay, cool.
This is from Commander OC92 Orange Crush. Thank you, brother, one of our biggest contributors.
Yeah.
Can y'all discuss what quote-unquote athleticism means to you? Could it mean that outside of football, this person could be a star talent in any athletic activity, or could it have more meaning than that as it pertains to football?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. So when you're looking at an athlete, like if you say like that guy's an athlete more so than a football player, it's this guy has all the tools to be something fantastic, and his athleticism is above everybody else in the draft, or he's in rare waters athletically. And it's in football, it's hard because like you do look at some of these guys like Myles Garrett can play basketball. He can play it very well. You wouldn't expect somebody who's like that big and bulky to be able to do it, but he's a hell of an athlete, so he can just do anything. Like a lot of these athletes, Russell Wilson can play basketball. Terry McLaurin, obviously, like people that are rare athletes just tend to be good at other sports. But yeah, usually when you hear this guy's an athlete right now, when he's coming out in the draft, you're kind of just like, that might not be the best thing. Like he's a freak and yeah, he can use that. But once he learns the game, watch out once he puts it together. So I don't know if I really answered your question, but yeah, I don't know. I'm an athlete. You know what I'm
saying? Yes, you are in every sense of the word.
No, I'm good at everything. Yeah.
What do you think that means, Rico?
I do agree. Like, I have a separate point, but just to add on to that, like it is kind of a nice way of saying they're raw. Like right. in today's, like it's always new ways to word things. But for me, the way I define athleticism, with NFL being such a quick-paced sport, I feel like burst matters more than speed. Because it's not often that you're just in a track race with people all of the time. Right. A lot of the times it's change of direction and sudden burst. Movements. Yes, very sudden movements. Yes, and then I think size matters a lot because. Somebody 5'6" running a 4.3 is very impressive, but somebody 6'2", a corner 6'2" with really long arms running a 4.3, it's a completely different story. So that's how I define athleticism. But I completely agree. They put titles like he's athletic instead of talking about how productive he is or his technique is kind of a red flag when it comes to the draft process.
Yeah, my definition for athleticism is being like light on your feet, being flexible, being able to move. Kind of like if you were to equate, like the best way I can be able to describe it, when you saw RG3 run versus how Lamar Jackson runs. Like I view Lamar Jackson as a straight up athlete because of how flexible, light on his feet he is. RG was a straight down runner. He just ran straight ahead. That's not really like, I know it's an athlete in the sense of it, but like I would view Lamar Jackson as more athletic because he can do more with that space, if that makes any sense, Orange Crush, and I'm sure it doesn't. light on your feet, being flexible, and being able to do multiple things. I think one of the most prove it ways to show that you are an athlete is when like a defensive tackle gets a pick and you see the dude hurdle somebody, jump over somebody, running down the field, stiff arming. Like that dude shouldn't be doing that at that size. That is an athlete. And that's how I kind of view it. Like Aaron Donald is a freak of freaking nature. The way that guy's built, the fact that he has a six-pack and still is over 300 pounds makes zero sense to me. That should not be made in a lab. It's ridiculous. That is an athlete. Right. So athleticism, in my opinion, is being able to do a whole bunch of things. What about you, Hall?
Real fast, Hall, before you go. Sammis Reyes is an athlete.
Yes.
Like, you look at him, he's just very raw, but the guy can do anything, including he's a thick boy. You know what I'm saying, Hall?
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, to your point about being like lighting your
feet. So, real quick before you go. So, one day, Reed on Twitter had responded to me with the Trump gif of Trump doing the thick, and I showed it to Katie, and I'm telling you, we laughed so hard because, like, you could see Trump doing the
you just going, you know what he's saying. Yeah.
Yeah, to your point about like guys that are like lighter on their feet and like a big man that like hurdles a guy like on an interception. A perfect example is a guy like Trent Williams who
at
his
exactly. He's a freak, right?
Just a freak of nature, just can do anything on the field athletically. You can line him up at tight end, you can line him up obviously left tackle, you can put him on the defensive line, you can probably put him out at wide receiver, he might make a play for you. But as far as athleticism goes, I define it as like someone that's like the upper echelon physically wise, attributes wise. You know what I'm saying? Like obviously the NFL, everyone's there for a reason. You're an athlete, you're like the 1%. But when the guy's athletic, he's in that 0.01% of like the physical attributes wise, I guess you could call it.
That's why I
guess that's my definition.
Right. That's why, like we were talking about, like I mentioned, Myles Garrett, like people like him, and there's been a few, especially defensive ends, it seems, or edge defenders. Chase Young, people that are not only good football, but they're like the top 0.1% of athletes too in the NFL. Like they're just freaks of nature.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Now, to wrap this up, guys, we got a couple more. But Street Scores, I'm going to go with you. This one's from Andy Burrows in the UK. Oi!
Oi!
With the London and Germany home teams announced today from the NFL, how likely in the future down the line that we see a playoff game or even a Super Bowl played overseas?
It's just everything the NFL is based on money. If they show that they can bring enough fans and I guess enough of us can make it over there and fill it up and the commercials run just as smoothly, all of the production, it's all money. I could see it happen. I don't think it would happen anytime soon because you're going to have to really prove to the NFL that we can fill this stadium up. And not just fill it up, because remember the Super Bowl tickets get really expensive. Like the cheapest tickets are like in the hundreds of dollars. And do they have a strong enough fan base out there to fill the entire stadium up with people paying thousands of dollars of tickets? And are people here that normally do pay all of that crazy money willing to fly over there?
Yeah, I don't think it's very likely, Andy, especially in the near future, especially given the fact that the home team fans, they're sold that at their home stadium that they'll be able to see a playoff game. So if you take that away from them, you're going to have thousands of people pissed off that they're not going to be able to see their team live unless they go travel overseas. That being said, what's a team that doesn't have people show up that most likely will be in the playoffs is the LA Rams. So maybe you could have the Rams go over and play a playoff game in London so they actually have some home field advantage. That would make a lot of sense in my opinion, but it's very hard logistically to be able to make that happen. A Super Bowl, I think the Super Bowl is very, very unlikely, but I could definitely see them trying to pushing it to overseas in order to grab those customers over to the NFL. Because obviously, we've seen all the games at Wembley. I mean, they really do pack that thing out, and it's not just one jersey in the stands. You see all teams showing up, even if they're not even playing that day. They really do show out well. They're overseas. So the Super Bowl, logistically, is going to take a whole lot because you got to make sure everything around it is supportive of it, talking about travel and all that other nonsense, but I have a hard time seeing that happen.
Yeah, no, slim to none. Unfortunately, not anytime soon. It's probably not in our lifetime, Andy. You know what I'm saying? No, they need to. If they got an NFL franchise out there first, then I could see that eventually happening shortly after. But no, unfortunately, the Super Bowl is such a big deal here, like you guys talked about. I just don't see it happening anytime soon. At least it would take a lot, but it would be Cool. It'd be awesome. Give me an excuse to go out there and then just not go into the game because I wouldn't be able to afford it. But
Right. Hey, Rico, a quick question for you. A drinker?
No, sir.
No, I'm not either. Well, we had a question from our guy Paul Murphy, who asked us what our favorite Scottish whiskeys were, either single malt or blended. I'm not much of a drinker. I am not. I'll put that out there. Everyone close to me knows I'm not much of a drinker until I met Mr. Hall here. Now I really started chugging like Jameson and stuff. I'm huge Irish whiskey fans with Jameson, but I do like Macallan. I've been reminded today many times with my buddies that I drank Macallan with them, and that's the only one that I know. But what about you, Rico? Do you have any Scottish whiskeys that you like? I'm sure it's a no.
No, sir. I love apple juice.
My man, dude, I love apple juice. Me too. Reed, what about you? Do you got any education on it?
I mean, I'm a big JMO fan. I named my son.
That's
after it.
Irish. It's Irish. It's Irish.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm saying though. I don't. I mean, besides like Jameson, when it comes to alcohol,
Just
like,
say
I
you don't drink that much. All right. There we
Yeah,
go.
no. How about I don't say that, Kyle? Because that
Paul,
would be
what
a
about
lie. I drink all the time. I don't drink
Other
anymore.
than like you said, we've had Macallan with like Dan and all them, but
Macallan
outside of
12.
that, outside of that, I pretty much just drink Jameson, which is Irish. So
Yeah.
Cracky
We are
said.
super boring now.
Yeah, Cracky
I
said.
never thought I would say that. No, none of us drink anymore, really.
Cracky said he likes his Scottish whiskeys 18 years or older. Didn't. He wanted me to put that in there. Now,
Yeah,
the last question.
Disgusting.
Last question for you now. Mr. Rico, this is from our guy Michael Haas. What 2022 wide receiver prospects in the NFL draft are better than Jamar Chase, Jalen Smith, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Rashad Bateman, or Moore, Rondale Moore to Arizona?
It's all about. I mean, it's not as dependent as quarterbacks, but it really does matter where they go.
Yep.
I mean, that's big. The quarterback that can get it to them, the offensive coordinator that can scheme them open. I mean, granted, a lot of these guys, route running and athleticism wise, can get themselves open, but you still need the offensive coordinator to do his job to make you a productive receiver. I mean, look at Allen Robinson, poor self, in Chicago. It's just, I mean, all the talent in the world, but like, what does it matter? So, I mean, you know me, George Pickens, I feel like he's drastically underrated. He just missed the entire season due to injury. I think a lucky team is going to get him somewhere in the middle of the draft, and he's going to become a true number one receiver for somebody. But I wouldn't go as far as to say a lot of these guys don't have like the highlight tapes. Like, I mean, that's not the end all be all. Of course, film matters, but like even coming into this draft is not as highlight tape heavy as that previous draft. We were like Jalen Waddle and all of these guys and all this speed and everything. So I love the Ohio State guys, love them. And Drake London, I feel like is untapped potential as well. But I think it matters so much where these guys go. And that's why me personally, I prefer to take a receiver like in the second rather than the first, because I don't feel like the gap is that big enough. Whereas like offensive tackle, guard, and edge rushers, that first to second round, huge drop off usually.
So basically, Michael responds, says it's a trick question. The answer is none. I do think that you are incorrect with that statement. I do think there are rookie wide receivers in this draft that are better than Rashad Bateman and Rondale Moore. Sky Moore, for one, I think is much better than Rondale at this point based on route running and catching ability. And then Rashad Bateman, I would say Treylon Burks is miles ahead of Rashad Bateman. I don't care what anyone says. I know that he was productive last year, but that's just me. Now, so his question is,
Kyle
Rico,
hates Rashad Bateman.
cannot
Remember that,
stand
Hall?
him. Cannot stand him.
I don't know why.
Not that good.
Hates it so bad.
So, everyone was mocking him the 19, and I was like, stop. He's not that good.
You just hate him. Yeah, you just hate him.
But the question is, basically what the question is from Michael Haas, Rico, is, so why not go quarterback at number 11? The only positions where in 2022 is superior to 21 is at D-end and cornerback. He says we won't go D-end. That leaves corner and quarterback as the best options at 11. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a good point. We don't necessarily need a tackle. We're going to run with Samuel Cosmi and Charles Leno for at least the next 2 years at very minimum. I mean, we probably need to replace Brandon Sheriff, but we can easily do that in free agency with like 5 to 6 guys I'd be willing to probably take for half the money that Brandon Sheriff is asking for, start them at right guard. Schweitzer be the backup guard and center now that we've seen last year. I didn't know he could play center that well. And you can't take two off-ball linebackers back-to-back first rounds. I love Nakobe Dean, that's my guy, but it just wouldn't make sense for him to come here like that. So it kind of does really just leave corner, because again, receiver, I feel like you can take a guy in the second and they can be just as good, maybe end up being better than one of the guys you take in the first. So I agree.
Yeah, I said many, many times that Rashad Bateman was not as good as Justin Jefferson. That's why he should not have been a first-round pick. But I do think Treylon Burks, Jameson Williams are guys that could go in this first round or are better than Rondale Moore or Rashad Bateman. Does that leave only corner and quarterback? No, I don't believe that in the slightest. What I think you probably should do with that situation, if Ahmad Gardner is not there, I'm not sold on Derek Stingley. I know that all the hype is there. I would rather trade back than just to use that 11th overall on a quarterback. Let's use that ability to gather more picks, because this team needs depth. You need talent. And yes, this isn't like a superstar-driven draft class like in years past, but there's depth that's solid all across the board. The more picks you get, the better you are to build your team with depth-wise. And so that's why I would much rather go down that route. But I would love to go with cornerback at number 11. I think that's the best fit for you. So from my opinion, it's either quarterback, corner, or wide receiver at number 11, or trade back. What do you think, Hall?
Yeah, I'm probably going. I would go running back at number 11.
Maybe tight end.
Yeah, tight end. A guard sounds good at 11.
Punter.
No,
we also can't forget that if Kyle Hamilton is there at 11, which most likely he won't be, that's a slam dunk. You go and run that up to the board.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with y'all. I wouldn't be mad if they didn't take a quarterback at 11. Jeffries.
No, you're fine. We can hear you.
All right. Yeah, I wouldn't be mad if they didn't take a quarterback at 11. As long as they took one, maybe trade back into the first round, or maybe get a guy in the second round, maybe like a Desmond Ridder, or maybe like a Sam Howell, someone like that. But I wouldn't be mad if they took a wide receiver at 11 either. I know like you can get a guy in the second round that's probably almost comparable to a guy in the first round, but my rebuttal to be like, is he better than Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson, guys like that? My rebuttal would be, are these rookie receivers going to get better than the guys that we have on our roster already? And I would say,
there
yes,
you go.
Outside of Terry McLaurin and probably Curtis Samuel, that guy's going to be better than De'Ami Brown, most likely. Is that guy going to be better than
Adam Humphries?
Dax Milne, most likely.
Right.
So they got to add a playmaker at 11, especially if you're going to go.
Why you got to add Dax Milne in there, man? I'm just imagining Treylon Burks next to Dax Milne.
I know. I'm just saying as far as people they have on the roster still.
I know. I got you.
Like
I was just making a joke.
4 receivers or something like that. So, yeah. I wouldn't be mad they win a receiver at 11 just for the simple fact of it would be an upgrade just automatically off break to what we already have in the receiver room outside of Terry.
That's a great point, Hall.
I think also, just sorry to cut you off. I think receiver would make more sense as well, as to the fact that free agency, we're not going to pay somebody a lot of money. You're about to pay Terry McLaurin all kinds of money. You're already paying Curtis Samuel. And if you were to try to go and get like Allen Robinson, that's like almost $50 million, $40+ million just paying to 3 receivers alone. So if you want to add more wide receiver depth or potentially another playmaker, the draft is a likely spot.
Right.
It is.
And
I will say, though, remember, they have an out with Curtis Samuel after next season. So that $40 million can drastically drop after next season based on how his season goes. Sorry, Reed.
Right. No, I would completely agree with you. I mean, I think corner and quarterback would make the most sense there. But also it depends. I mean, I really, really like Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State. I think if he's there, he's somebody that if this coaching staff thinks that this person like also that he can come in there and he can automatically play, then yeah, I mean, go for it. If that's your best option as opposed to tying up more money in the wide receiver position, then hey, that's what you got to do. Maybe they think they can trade back into round 1. Get a quarterback, but you are right. Wide receivers, you can tend to be able to get a pretty good wide receiver on day 2, possibly even later than that. You see wide receivers come in all the time and have success. So maybe it would be smarter to wait to take a receiver. But hey, at those 3 positions or Kyle Hamilton if he's there. So yeah, I agree with all you guys.
I saw Matt Bowen, the former Washington Redskins safety and current ESPN analyst for the NFL for them. He did a breakdown of Garrett Wilson, and his comp for Garrett Wilson was the second time I've saw this today by somebody else, but they comped him with Stephon Diggs, saying that's what the kind of player that they can see. And I was like, wow, I'm kind of blown away by that, because that's a really big admission to say admiration of of Garrett Wilson because that kid is good. I didn't think he was that good, but man, maybe he is.
No,
I
he's
thought
really good.
I thought Chris Olave was the speed, and I thought Garrett Wilson was the one that was kind of like your ever down wide receiver.
Like I said, he kind of in a way almost reminds me of Terry. Just like if you throw it up, he's gonna go get it. He's got a similar build a little bit. He's fast. He can do it all. So he's somebody I think he's gonna have a lot of success in the NFL.
Yeah, totally agree. Thank you to everyone for being able to come on here and contributing to this podcast. Thank you so much, Rico, coming on here and being able to talk some ball with us again, sir. It's been a while. Missed you, brother. But real quick before we get out of here, Rico, if you want to plug your stuff in.
Yes, sir. You can find me on YouTube, Street Scores STREET space SCORES, and on Twitter, Street Scores ATL. Thanks for having me, y'all, man. Anytime, just let me know, man. Love it.
Rico, you have that sign off so perfect where like you can just tell you're a YouTuber. Like you do it so well. You pronounce everything perfectly. You're very well spoken. I can just hear you be like, ding the bell, click the link down below, make sure that you had
oh yeah,
got to. I know.
Got to.
Pronunciation. Rico's got that on lock. All right,
Yep.
everyone. Thank you so much for contributing to this episode. We will see you guys on Friday. Make sure you comment in the comment section. What do you guys think about these questions? We want to hear your opinion. Do you want a retractable roof? Do you want it to be outside, indoor, climate-controlled stadium? Let us know what you think, everybody. We'll see you on Friday. I'm Kyle.
Oh.
No, Vladimir Putin. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, Washington football. Woo! Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. And if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get notified when anything new is uploaded to the channel. Also, we just launched theburgundyzone.com. You can go there and find all of our latest news, articles, and the latest episodes that are uploaded. Again, we also have the Discord chat server, where all of our VIP folks are in, like Andy Burrows, Scott Hartley, Sergio Martin is in there as well. Don't miss out on the Discord chat server. Go and check that out. Until next time, everybody, Washington football. Woo!